Royal chaos has erupted. Queen Camilla has been officially expelled from Buckingham Palace, escorted out under emergency protocol just hours after Princess Anne mysteriously vanished en route to a public event. A top-secret royal decree, allegedly signed by King Charles under extreme pressure, triggered the unprecedented move. With palace phones shut down, senior aides locked out, and Prince William stepping in, one truth is clear. The monarchy isn't just in crisis. It's at war with itself. Palace in chaos. At exactly 6:45 a.m., palace insiders reported an unprecedented scene. Queen Camilla being escorted out of Buckingham Palace by two royal security officers. She was dressed in a long navy coat, hair undone, and appeared to be carrying her own handbag. Two wheeled suitcases followed, dragged by a grim-faced aide. Witnesses described the moment as eerily quiet, but full of tension. One footman, stationed near the East Wing, said, "We were told to look away." It wasn't a departure. It was an exile. The decision came after an internal order, allegedly signed just after 2 a.m., under what one official called extreme duress. The document, marked classified, instructed the immediate vacating of all official quarters and associated authority privileges by Camilla. It was stamped with the royal seal, but not delivered through typical channels. The order bypassed Clarence House, suggesting King Charles III acted outside normal advisory protocols. Its language was direct and final. Camilla's role was not suspended. It was revoked, at least temporarily. What triggered this drastic action was still unclear by morning, but one detail stood out. Princess Anne, scheduled to appear at a veterans ceremony in Edinburgh, never arrived. Her royal protection unit lost contact with her convoy shortly after departure. In the hours following her disappearance, certain palace phone lines were rerouted, secure comms shut down, and key staff locked out of their own offices. It was, as one royal household member described, a coup behind velvet curtains. Senior staff, some with over 20 years of service, were seen huddled in corridors, receiving no answers. Multiple event coordinators were turned away at the north entrance, their passes deactivated without warning. One security supervisor said, "In all my time here, I've never seen a lockdown like this. No one knew who was really in charge." The air was tense, the chain of command fractured, and at the center of it all, Camilla, departing in silence. As Camilla's vehicle disappeared beyond the gates of Buckingham Palace, rumors began swirling like wildfire. Why was she removed so suddenly? And what did it have to do with Princess Anne, the only royal with enough force to shake the institution from within? By mid-morning, the real story began to emerge, not in public, but within palace walls. Anne was missing, and not by accident. Princess Anne vanishes without explanation. Princess Anne had been scheduled to attend a 10:30 a.m. ceremony honoring retired veterans in Edinburgh, a commitment announced 4 weeks in advance. She departed from a royal residence in Scotland at 8 a.m., her security detail briefed as usual. But somewhere along the M90, Anne's convoy was quietly rerouted. The vehicle's transponder signal, standard in all royal transport, disappeared from tracking systems by 8:42 a.m. What followed was not public panic, but institutional silence. An internal palace bulletin marked "Emergency Protocol Activated" was circulated at 9:05 a.m. Staff were instructed to avoid media engagement and reroute all Anne-related queries to a non-operational number. No public statement was issued. Instead, screens inside St. James's Palace turned red. a color code used only twice since 2002. Royal aides, many unaware of the situation until then, were stunned. The woman known for never missing an engagement had simply vanished. Unconfirmed reports suggest that the disappearance followed a heated confrontation the previous evening involving Camilla, Anne, and King Charles. Multiple sources claim Anne stormed out of the meeting, fuming over Camilla's increasing influence and her alleged manipulation of royal correspondence. According to one security team member, she wasn't escorted. She left on her own terms. The transponder blackout, while rare, can be activated manually by senior royals to avoid tracing. That it was used at all speaks volumes. Behind palace doors, the mood shifted from confusion to crisis. Prince William, briefed at 10:15 a.m., was said to have demanded a private intelligence update. Senior royals were placed under discreet surveillance protocols to prevent misinformation. Though no public alert was raised, internal security escalated to Level 3, used only during potential threats to royal lives or constitutional stability. One thing was clear: Anne hadn't simply skipped an event. She had taken control of her own disappearance. By midday, whispers of a confrontation began turning into solid accounts. What happened the night before Anne vanished would soon explain everything. A meeting behind gilded doors, meant to bring clarity, instead erupted into chaos. And at its center stood two women, Camilla and Anne, each defending a vision of royalty. The crown had become a battleground. The final confrontation. The night before Camilla's removal and Anne's disappearance, a high-stakes meeting took place inside Clarence's house. Present were King Charles, Camilla, Princess Anne, and 4 senior advisors. The topic: upcoming constitutional planning and questions surrounding royal delegation. What should have been routine strategy turned personal when Anne allegedly confronted Camilla over unauthorized communications involving non-palace consultants. Multiple witnesses confirmed voices were raised, Anne's more than once. Anne, never known for dramatics, was reportedly furious. She presented a folder of evidence, detailing calls and emails traced back to Camilla's private staff. The communications, dating as far back as April, involved outside media consultants and financial advisors not cleared by palace security. One advisor present said Anne accused Camilla of undermining royal unity for personal positioning. She ended her case with the words, "You've turned influence into insubordination." The room fell silent. Camilla allegedly dismissed the evidence as paranoid fiction and accused Anne of being stuck in a pre-modern royal model. The argument escalated when Anne invoked Queen Elizabeth II's legacy, warning Charles that his wife's unchecked reach was corroding public trust. "You've lost the last person who defended you," she told him, before rising and walking out of the room. The words, described by a courtier as ice over fire, hung in the air long after she'd gone. Charles, visibly shaken, reportedly remained silent for nearly 30 minutes after Anne's exit. Advisors pressed him to respond, warning that the optics, if leaked, would devastate public faith. Camilla remained defiant, refusing to retract any of her actions. But the damage was done. The next morning, Anne was gone. By dawn, Camilla would follow, escorted out, stripped of access. Her influence fractured, and all of it began in that room, in those last bitter words between two royal titans. The palace is built on hierarchy, but it survives on loyalty. Anne had always been Charles's defender, even when others doubted him. Now, she was gone, and Charles, shaken and cornered, had a decision to make. Between sister and spouse, between order and chaos, the king reached for a pen, and the monarchy shifted. Charles's breaking point. By dawn, King Charles III had reached what palace aides later called his breaking point. The disappearance of Princess Anne, his lifelong confidant and anchor of duty, had shaken him to the core. At 8:10 a.m., an emergency briefing convened inside Clarence House. The topic? Anne's safety and the growing crisis within the royal household. Advisors presented Charles with a dossier, a thick black folder containing reports of Camilla's private meetings, unauthorized calls, and confidential correspondences routed through non-royal channels. Charles reportedly read in silence for 45 minutes. Sources describe him as pale, exhausted, and emotionally fractured. At one point, he muttered, "Not again," an unmistakable echo of the phrase he uttered after Princess Diana's death in 1997. The evidence, while not criminal, was reputationally catastrophic. The implication was clear. Camilla had gone rogue, acting with authority she had not been granted. For a king obsessed with image and legacy, the betrayal struck deep. Senior aides urged immediate containment. Sir Clive Alderton, the king's principal private secretary, warned that if Anne's disappearance and the prior night's confrontation became public, the monarchy could face its worst constitutional scandal since 1936. "Your Majesty," he said, "we cannot lose control again." The king reportedly spent hours pacing the green drawing room, consulting with legal counsel and the Lord Chamberlain. The conclusion: decisive symbolic action was needed to preserve the integrity of the crown, even if it meant personal devastation. At 12:32 p.m., Charles signed the temporary royal decree of access suspension, a document barring Queen Camilla from all official residences and classified operations pending reassessment. When a staffer hesitated before delivering it, Charles whispered, "Do it. I can't lose Anne. Not now. Not like this." The king's hand trembled as he sealed the order with his signet ring. It was the most consequential pen stroke of his reign, and one that would redefine his marriage, his crown, and his family. As the ink dried on the expulsion order, silence settled over the palace halls. But in that stillness, a storm was already gathering. By the next morning, Camilla would be gone. Not voluntarily, and not quietly. Camilla's exit. At 6:45 a.m., under grey London skies, Queen Camilla was escorted out of Buckingham Palace in a black government vehicle with tinted windows. Her usual convoy was absent. 2 royal protection officers accompanied her, one seated beside the driver, one in the back. Gone were the polished Bentley and the waving hand. Instead, witnesses described a woman ashen, furious, and defeated. She clutched her handbag tightly, staring straight ahead. The air was thick with disbelief. Only one personal assistant, Sophie Radcliffe, accompanied her. The rest of Camilla's household staff, 7 in total, had been reassigned overnight. Palace IT technicians had revoked her digital access just after 3 a.m., locking her out of all internal communications. Her rooms were sealed within the hour. Even her corgi, Bluebell, was reportedly collected later by private transport. The move was not ceremonial. It was clinical, a royal extraction executed under security protocol Sigma 4, the same used during Prince Andrew's residence transition in 2020. Her destination was Ray Mill House, her private estate in Wiltshire, where she had lived before marrying Charles in 2005. As her car passed the gates, a security guard discreetly handed a folded note to the driver, later revealed to be a written acknowledgement that Camilla's official privileges were suspended indefinitely. No photographers were permitted within 200 meters of the exit. A rare media blackout had been ordered by the palace's communications office, confirming the severity of the crisis. Camilla reportedly spent the drive calling advisors, whispering sharply into her phone. Witnesses later said she repeated one phrase: "He'll regret this." Those who have worked with her long enough know that Camilla is not easily defeated, but this was no ordinary setback. It was the first time since their marriage that King Charles had publicly prioritized someone else, Anne, over her. And for a queen who fought decades to legitimize her place beside the throne, that betrayal cut deepest of all. As Camilla's car disappeared down the long road to Wiltshire, her silence spoke louder than any statement could. Back in London, the monarchy's next generation was already mobilizing. Prince William had taken control, and his first move was not vengeance, but loyalty. William and Kate's reaction. When news of Camilla's removal and Anne's disappearance reached Kensington Palace, Prince William reportedly turned to his advisors and said, "The line's been drawn." According to insiders, he immediately canceled his day's private engagements and began coordinating with security intelligence to confirm Anne's location. His first priority was family. His second, order. Within 3 hours, William was fully briefed on the ongoing internal operations and authorized discreet support for his aunt through secure military channels. Princess Catherine stepped into Anne's absence with quiet precision. Later that same day, she appeared alongside Princess Charlotte at a Children's Veterans fundraiser, an event Anne was originally meant to attend. Catherine's presence was calm, deliberate, and symbolic. Her choice of attire, a navy coat dress, the same shade Anne favored, did not go unnoticed. Social media flooded with posts praising the unspoken unity between the two women. In times of chaos, Catherine had become the royal family's public balm. William's private emotions, however, were far less serene. Those close to him describe a man both protective and unyielding. "He will never forgive what's been done," one aide said. "Anne represents everything his mother fought for: duty without deception." During an internal strategy meeting at 10 p.m., William reportedly remarked, "This is not about punishment. It's about preservation." His words echoed across generations, a promise to defend both Anne's honor and the Windsor legacy from within. For William, the events marked a final shift. No longer a spectator to royal dysfunction, he had become its regulator. With Camilla exiled and Charles emotionally fractured, William stepped into quiet leadership. Courtiers began describing the moment as the birth of the next monarchy. His decisions were not driven by ambition, but by restoration. For the first time since Princess Diana's passing in 1997, the family's moral axis pointed back toward discipline, loyalty, and transparency. But while William and Catherine projected calm order, the outside world was catching on. Whispers became headlines. Headlines became outrage, and soon, the palace's deepest crisis was no longer a secret. The press had caught the scent, and the public, once again, was turning its gaze toward the royals, demanding answers. The public finds out. By 7:20 a.m., whispers within royal circles had reached the press. The first to report was The Times, followed quickly by Sky News and The Telegraph, all citing unconfirmed disruption within the royal schedule. Within 2 hours, the headlines had escalated. "Where is Princess Anne?" "Camilla leaves palace under pressure," and "Crisis in the Crown." What had started as a private fallout had now become a national spectacle, and by noon, it was trending worldwide. Social media erupted with explosive commentary. The hashtag number sign, "Where is Anne" surged to over 5 million uses in under 6 hours, followed closely by #, Camilla out, and #, Anne, the true royal. Royal fans and critics alike flooded platforms like X, Instagram, and Reddit with theories, questions, and declarations of support for Anne. Public sentiment turned swiftly. Camilla, already seen by many as a contentious figure, was now viewed as the cause of unprecedented disruption within the monarchy. Polling data released by YouGov within 24 hours showed a staggering shift. Public support for Princess Anne rose 12 points, while Camilla's favorability plummeted by 21, her sharpest drop since the public learned of her affair with Charles in the 1990s. Even normally reserved royal commentators on BBC Radio 4 described the crisis as a moment of reckoning. One royal historian said, "We haven't seen a loyalty fracture like this since Edward VIII's abdication in 1936. Behind the gates, the palace scrambled to manage the optics. Press officers issued a cold, brief statement. The royal household is experiencing internal transitions. All senior members are safe. But the damage had been done. Media vans lined the mall, helicopters hovered over Windsor, and former palace staff were fielding interview requests from across the globe. The royal veil had slipped, and in that brief moment, the public saw what they'd always suspected. The royal family was fighting from within. But where there are cracks, conspiracies flood in. With Camilla removed and Anne silent, the public turned its curiosity into obsession. And when the palace refused to explain, others filled in the gaps. Whispers became wild theories. Some dismissed them, others believed every word. The conspiracy theories explode. By the end of the week, conspiracy forums and commentary channels were ablaze with speculation. One leaked report suggested Camilla had been quietly lobbying to transfer limited oversight of select Crown Estate holdings into a shared management trust, a move that would increase her control should Charles's health decline. Though no documents were made public, the theory quickly gained traction, especially after excerpts from 2 private emails surfaced online. The palace declined to comment. Others alleged Camilla had hired outside consultants to shape her post-Charles image, spending over £700,000 on private PR efforts over the course of 14 months. While palace finances are notoriously opaque, the figure mirrored a sudden spike in third-party media features portraying Camilla as essential to modern monarchy. One headline from July read, "The real power behind Charles." That same week, Anne was notably absent from 2 state meetings. A more extreme theory, published by a whistleblower blog with ties to former palace aides, claimed Princess Anne had been conducting her own internal investigation. According to the source, Anne had reportedly flagged irregularities in security expenditures and demanded a formal audit. Though unverified, the theory was bolstered by reports that Anne had made 3 separate requests for secure intelligence briefings between April and September, an unusually high number for a non-reigning royal. Speculation even spread to succession. Some theorized the palace was maneuvering to formally remove Camilla from succession-adjacent privileges, blocking her from future regency decisions should Charles become incapacitated. One viral post on Reddit read, "This isn't just about Anne. It's about stopping the wrong queen from gaining too much power." The silence from the palace, pointed, precise, and absolute, only added fuel to the fire. For many, no explanation meant something was being hidden. While the public unraveled their theories, the palace's internal crisis reached a moment of clarity. After nearly 14 hours, Princess Anne's whereabouts were confirmed. But her silence? That would remain, and speak volumes. Anne's location confirmed. At 11:58 p.m., Palace security confirmed Princess Anne's location, Birkhall Lodge, a remote royal residence nestled within the Balmoral estate in Scotland. Her vehicle had reached the grounds earlier that day, but she refused to engage with staff or press. A secure team of 4 royal protection officers, authorized by Prince William, were stationed outside the lodge. Officially, she was safe and well. Unofficially, she was furious, and she was not coming out. Anne reportedly allowed only one call to be connected, a secure line from Prince William, who urged her to hold your ground. The call lasted under 3 minutes, but sources say it brought visible relief to Anne's usually impenetrable composure. She issued no statement, made no appearance, and declined a direct request from King Charles to speak. One aide said, "She's not hiding. She's making a point." Her absence had already left a noticeable gap. 3 royal appearances and 2 briefings went unattended. Princess Catherine covered one, Prince Edward another. But the emptiness was felt across every ceremonial hall. Royal veterans, in particular, expressed concern. Anne has long been the monarchy's most consistent representative, clocking over 400 engagements a year. Her silence, for many, was more deafening than Camilla's exile. Anne's protective watch was reportedly established not by Charles, but by William, a move that surprised insiders. This direct act of loyalty further signaled where power was shifting. William wasn't just coordinating response, he was defending a legacy. Anne's absence had become a statement, and her nephew was making sure that statement couldn't be silenced. With Anne safely in place, Camilla quietly exiled, and Charles still silent, the royal chessboard had been redrawn. What came next wasn't ceremonial. It was strategic, and it would signal the end of one royal power and the rise of another. Camilla's role crumbles. Monarchy repositions. Though Queen Camilla still holds her title, insiders now describe her status as ceremonial only. All formal duties have been suspended. Her name has been removed from 3 upcoming state programs, and her image quietly omitted from internal media drafts. Most notably, she is no longer included in any senior succession or regency planning documents, confirmed by a leaked memo from the Privy Council office dated just 2 days after her expulsion. Legal advisors are reportedly reviewing the 2005 marriage agreement, particularly clauses regarding post-accession privileges and representation. One unnamed aide described the process as slow, quiet dismantling. Camilla's access to royal archives, personal briefings, and foreign correspondence has been rescinded. The Queen, who once stood beside Charles at every podium, now sits alone, miles away, stripped of voice and influence. Meanwhile, Princess Anne is expected to return in full force, her first appearance already scheduled for a Veterans Charity Gala in Yorkshire. Palace sources say her speech will touch on service, loyalty, and duty, 3 words now synonymous with her identity. While she may never publicly address the confrontation, her reappearance alone sends the message she's unbroken. And the public, whose support has never wavered, stands ready to welcome her back. Prince William and Princess Catherine, now viewed as the stabilizing axis of the monarchy, have quietly assumed increased responsibilities. Event coordination, diplomatic briefings, and internal staff management have all been rerouted through Kensington Palace. One royal insider summarized it best: Charles remains the king, but William has become the power. And as for Camilla, her era of unchecked influence is not just fading, it is over. As Camilla retreats to Wiltshire and Anne isolates in Balmoral, the House of Windsor faces its greatest fracture since the abdication of 1936. The public now demands answers. What really happened behind palace doors? Why did Charles side with Anne? And is Camilla's royal future permanently over? One thing is certain: Prince William's grip is tightening, and Camilla's influence is crumbling. The monarchy has drawn new battle lines, and the next chapter will be written in loyalty or exile.